224 years. That's how long somebody in Scotland can expect to wait before they get an appointment at Glasgow's Gender Identity Clinic.
When I was on the hormones and specifically the blocker, I was having terrible muscle spasms, muscle atrophy, and she had mentioned I had started peeing blood. I did start peeing blood for that time. I was developing spontaneous ulcers in my bladder with no pathology present, so they didn't know why they were forming. I had also started having issues with sexual dysfunction at the time, like many intimate dysfunctions, breast pain and fluid leakage. I used to leak so much fluid that I would have like circles on the outside of my shirts. None of this was addressed by the doctors at U of M. Whenever I bring it up to them, they'd be like, that's just a normal part of womanhood. So I never got addressed at U of M. I had a surgery done at Corwell for the biopsy and that ulcer in my bladder. And around that time, Mom had gotten so freaked out about this stuff that she did fight to get my blocker taken out. And I would say
about 8 months.
Yeah, a few months after it was taken out, though, I stopped having the ulcer.
Today is going to be a heavy one. I hope I don't cry. I already feel like crying. So with that, I want to say that these kinds of conversations are very important to me. And I sure hope they're important to you. And I believe we are all being gaslit into believing children are trans. And we are not hearing the voices of these young people louder and more prominent within the discussion of transgender healthcare. And these are the most important people in this fight to be authentic. And the gaslighting within the trans community has to be stopped, because no child is trans, no child is transsexual, no child is dealing with gender dysphoria. I'm going to tell you, as somebody who was a child who was very masculine and really was drawn towards more masculine things, I do not believe I had gender dysphoria. I believe I was just a kid seeing things in a different way than the majority of the other girls did. But it's not about me so much as it's about these young people being sucked into this horrifying medical experiment. And when I hear people say trans healthcare is not experimental, I just want to puke. So today I'm going to highlight this young man because I don't highlight enough young men who are detransitioners or who have been caught up in this horrifying charade of healthcare. And so this young man's name is Jonni, and he is so brave, but at the same time, it's such a sad, horrifying story that I just can't even believe it's not bigger and it's not on every single news station out there. But again, of course it's not, because they don't want you to see this kind of stuff. And they don't want to see, the percentage, or they want to say stuff like the percentage of detrans is very small. No, it is not. Number one. Number two, even if it is small, one child hurt by this insanity and these crazy Frankenstein weirdo doctors needs to be exposed. And I'm just mind blown that this is, like, I'm a bad person for even talking about this within the transgender community. It's why I want to keep reminding you that I do not belong to any community, but mostly I do not belong to the trans community, okay? I'm not here to represent trans people. I'm here to represent me and my story and what I believe is the right, ethical, moral thing to do, okay? So I want to put that for all you weird hater freaks who think I'm transphobic. You just keep spewing, because I'm going to expose this if it takes my last breath, okay? Because if I save one kid from this insanity, I can tap out, but I'm going to save more. I swear to God, I'm just not going to be a part of this. So with that, let me finish up. First off, really, thank you so much for hitting that subscribe button. Thank you. I totally appreciate it so much. And it helps me bring these videos to you. And it really helps to get, but I'll still do it. Even if you don't, I'll still do it. But I feel so teary-eyed right now because I just can't even believe that we're talking about this and people think this is healthcare. So with that, yes, thank you for that. Thank you for liking and thank you for commenting. The comments are really important to this video. Okay. So here, let me finish this this first video.
Fight to get my blocker taken out. And I would say
About 8 months.
yeah, a few months after it was taken out, though, I stopped having the ulcers in my bladder, but I've had urinary incontinence ever since, constantly through the day. I essentially am like a faucet that won't turn off.
Still.
I still have fluid leakage that comes from my chest and pain in my breasts, as well as bone issues. I have bone that's growing in my joints. And my current doctors don't understand why. They're seeing these bony protrusions form over the past year and a half since I stopped hormones, but they aren't sure as to why this is happening to me yet.
So how in the hell are you doing this to children? This kid was put on puberty blockers at the age of 13. His story is insane. So I found him on X, okay, through a bunch of doctors and people I follow. Ethan Haim, the doctor who testified and, totally, completely blew up this story, and they came after him, and he's also a hero. And Brad Paquette. So I found all this because I was I just am so obsessed with getting these detransition stories out there. So these clips I'm showing you are from a Michigan hearing. Hopefully the Department of Justice sees these. And Brad Paquette, who is a educator and also a state representative for the 37th District of Michigan. And it's a very profound interview he did with this young man named Jonni. And Jonni, which I'll put the link to his ex, is 23-year-old detransitioner, former trans kid on a mission of justice and understanding. Bullying is not cute. Mutual understanding is. He's such a sweetheart kid, and I'm gonna hopefully get an interview with him. But with that, so let me bring up this next piece.
The reasonings to be put on puberty blocking drugs and cross-sex hormones was a specific endocrine disorder and ICD code that the doctor put in, and I saw it was used about 111 times in the records of 600 pages. And this endocrine disorder related to puberty, Jonni, did he have this endocrine disorder? I'm reading, what this is specified for. It's for things like androgen insensitivity syndrome, carcinoid syndrome, ectopic hormone secretion. Did he have any of those ailments?
No.
And
No, I did not. And if I may comment on that real fast, I did not realize that I was diagnosed with an endocrine disorder related to puberty. He never discussed what he was putting in my records. So we were not informed as to those diagnoses until much later when we pursued my medical records after I quit hormones.
My understanding is that's very clear insurance fraud.
So really, if this is an actual thing, right? Let's just say this is an actual thing here happening. Why do you have to do insurance fraud? Why do you have to lie about somebody being transsexual or transgender? And why do you have to put something else when that's insurance fraud? To say that you have a tall stature. So what they were trying to do was say he was a she, okay, at 13, and this crazy Dr. Schumer, who I'll show you who is, he basically was lying to the insurance company saying that this is a girl who's going to grow too tall, and so they need to give her puberty blockers instead of saying this is a transgender boy to a girl and we need to give her puberty blockers because it's not legal to give puberty blockers. So they had to lie about it, and this is what I'm talking about. They are using these kids for experiments. Because if it was on the up and up, they wouldn't have to lie to the insurance company about why they're giving puberty blockers to a 13-year-old little boy and telling him that he's really a girl and not a boy because he was very effeminate. I'm going to put a link to his whole interview, but he grew up very effeminate and I think possibly feeling like he could be gay. And so he also, I think his faith kind of pushed against that. And so everyone was telling him, especially these doctors at the Gender Center and the University of I think it's the University of Michigan, were telling him he'll be better off living as a girl instead of a gay boy. That's what we're all trying to tell you. This is also a homophobic attack on kids, on gayness, on homosexuality, all of it. It's actually so profound, seriously. So there's that, right? Now it's insurance fraud. Oh, this part of the whole interview. Okay.
Lastly, I noted that you were sent, when you were 13, you and your mother, Melissa, were sent to a sex shop. Could you fill
I'd
in
like
on
to
that?
speak on that too.
Yeah. Could you fill in on that briefly?
So Sarah Weiner and Dr. Schumer, on the first visit when they were together, decided that because I'm unsure about all this, Jonni needed form fitting to feel feminine. When I pull in, it is a purple building, and so for me, I'm thinking this is not where I'm supposed to be. Right? There's something's wrong with my GPS. So I sit there and I Google it. Nope, I'm at the right place, and this is the name of the place. And it was a lot of wigs and 6-inch shoes with the big platforms and feathery stuff and stuff like that. But I can see on the wall around the corner, there were things that reminded me of what would be like a lion's den. So we go in, and now it's sex toys and stuff for around the corner.
Wow.
In lit up displays on both sides.
What?
And get around the corner. And then there were form fitting stuff with like fleshy, like rubber, right?
Cyber skin.
Why were they sending this young kid and the mother to this Janet's closet to get clothes? That's just so twisted and crazy. No wonder people, like, what is happening? Who is sending this young man there to get these kinds of clothes? This is a cross-dressing store, by the way. This is for cross-dressers. This is not a store for transgender people. This is for men who want have a fetish to dress as women. So, wow, the whole thing is so twisted, you guys, and so pathetic and disgusting. So now I really want to bring you this because this is the beginning of this really great interview that I found that I will put the link to. This was at the Gen Spec conference in New Mexico, I think it was last month. So Brad sat down with this young man here. Let me just find this marker here.
When you were 13, you got signed into U of M, right?
Yeah,
Moms.
that's where we got the referral from.
Got the referral.
Because she was seeing the doctor that I would later go on to see.
Gotcha. And so the doctor was Dr. Schumer.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess give the lowdown on what the beginnings of that looked like when you were 13.
So it was in May of 2016 when I was 13 that I went to see the gender therapist first, because that's supposedly standard protocol before you see an endocrinologist. And I had a 3-hour consultation, just me and her, and we had talked about all the things that I was insecure about. My religious beliefs was a very big theme, and you can see this reflected in my medical records a little bit. I was very, very devout, and I legitimately believed that, I was growing into something that was really sinful and undesirable to be as a human being. And I was developing the thought process that, well, if I transitioned to be a woman, then I'd be a straight woman. And she really hammered that in. She brought up, with my personality, I might not be actually accepted into the gay world anyways, because gay men usually want men. And she affirmed that I had a feminine personality and that this might be a better route for me to live a normal life.
Wow.
Live an acceptable life.
See?
And that really, hearing that from a mental health professional that you're confiding in just really made me feel like, well, then this must be objective truth, And she had called my mom in after that and gave the usual, well, you have a daughter now, congratulations, do you want a dead son or a living daughter?
And that was specifically mentioned to your mom.
Yes, specifically. And like I said yesterday, you can talk to my mom at any point as well, and she will give her side of the story with that, because when this gender therapist was meeting with my mom, I was not in the room, and when she was meeting with me, my mom was not in the room.
You know, you see what they did there? They manipulated. They also manipulated the mother into believing her son was a girl. That's what I keep saying. These healthcare professionals have also been a part of this whole indoctrination thing. Now they're like affirming. Why would you want to be? The therapist literally did conversion therapy on this young man and said, well, why would you want to be gay? You're not going to have a good life being gay. You might as well just be a woman. That's conversion therapy. What is happening? So which one is conversion therapy? Converting a transgender person to be a girl, to be a male or female, or to convert a gay person into being trans? Which one is? Because you see what I'm trying to say here? The trans community has hijacked the term, right? Conversion therapy. Because if you're actually, you don't need to be talked into it if you're trans. Okay, so they're literally twisting this young 13-year-old boy's mind around who and what he is, and that he shouldn't be a boy, he should be a girl when he doesn't feel like a girl. But they're telling him that you're going to be better off living that way because it's not cool or not good to be an effeminate male. It's all right there. So let me find this other piece. Hold on one second. There's so much good stuff in this interview, you guys. It's crazy. He spills the beans on it all.
And I'm just trying to bring awareness to the people who are being harmed. And not just the people who are being harmed, but the children being harmed. You know? And
there are a lot of them, unfortunately. Your story is not an isolated case. I know that for a fact.
And if I may give advice to other policymakers that might have had a vested interest or might have stuck up for this practice in the past, would be to, if you really care about any group of persons, it would be in your best interest to lay down the burden and acknowledge that there are children being harmed in this. You don't want to continue to defend something and it come out that so many people have been destroyed by this. Like my friend Haley, she passed away, from heart failure at 24. People are being seriously harmed by this. And people who are, grow up to not be trans, like myself, or people who even do, like my friend I told you about yesterday, who her surgery went wrong and she can't even get in touch with her doctors. These people are committing serious, it's so beyond malpractice. It's serious fraud and
That's right. It's fraud. This is fraud. He's saying it right there. This is somebody who has actual experience from the age of 13, I think, to the age of 23 or 10 years or so of the insanity that went to his body. His body broke down. I think I opened with that first clip. It gets even worse. He was dealing with so much, and the doctor blamed him. The doctor blamed him for making the choice at 13. This is what I'm trying to tell you all. If you actually think a 13-year-old is trans and can make that, you're not listening here. And there's no way you've been around kids or you understand kids. No child can make a life-changing choice and add drugs to their body that these people have no idea what the long-term effects, except for when you see a person who of 13 years to 23 and the amount of damage it has done to this young kid's body, and you're all acting like, oh, well, it's only one kid. What if it is only one kid? What if? But it's not only one kid. Because what about the kids behind this person who are going to come up next and then be the generation of kids in so much pain? I am just so fucking pissed that we are all screaming and no one's hearing us. It is the most, what happened to our society? What happened to us that we are willing to turn our heads on children and say, no, doctors know what they're talking about. Doctors don't know what they're talking about. They practice medicine, and many of them have fucking egos. So this little motherfucking doctor, His name is Dr. Schumer. Dr. Schumer is a proponent of transgender surgeries for minors and the associate professor of pediatrics at the University of Michigan. Okay, so he testifies all the time in favor of transitioning children, yet this is what happens to his patients. What? So he's like a authority for trans kids. He gets asked all the time to come in and speak for kids. So one of the things he said, attempts to cure, in quotes, transgender individuals by forcing their gender identity into alignment with their birth sex are harmful and ineffective. What? You literally did the opposite and you harmed a kid and it's ineffective. So no, you are actually wrong. Okay. Those practices have been widely denounced. Not true in any way, shape, or form, as unethical. This guy is insane. By all okay, this is the key right here. Those practices have been widely denounced as unethical by all major professional associations of medical and mental health professionals, such as the American Medical Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Psychiatric Association, and the American Psychological Association, amongst others. Right there. Every single one of those organizations needs to be held responsible for this because they are advocating for the unethical use of medicines and surgeries on minors. What? How is that even possible? Are you actually going to be okay with these organizations? Every single one of them needs to be disbanded because they're lying. They're actually lying. And it's why I'm trying to tell you, the medical world, okay, is insane. They're just about creating patients. They don't want to cure you. And also, when you put cure in quotes, the last thing I wish I ever had to do was this, okay? I wish I could have been cured of having to take this route, but I did. It kind of worked out for me. It's all good. I'm not complaining. I'm moving forward. But why would I ever want a child to be put in this position is beyond me. Why any adult would ever want a child. Oh, I'm just going off. I apologize. I just can't. I just can't even stand that these are our medical professionals pushing for this shit. Okay, so this is Leo. I think I pronounced his name Sapir. And he's a senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute, a PhD, Boston College. We follow each other. He's great. He talks a lot about gender medicine, and he knows a lot. And he's very, 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 very versed in what he says. So listen to what he's saying. This is a Gen Spec conference.
So now let me turn to the Endocrine Society. In 2017, the Endocrine Society published a clinical practice guideline on gender medicine. Despite acknowledging the poor quality of evidence, the guideline makes strong recommendations in favor of puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones, a move that has drawn criticism from some of the world's leading experts in evidence-based medicine. The Endocrine Society explained its decision by invoking the, quote, values and preferences, unquote, of pediatric patients wanting endocrine treatments. It said that it places a higher value on, quote, avoiding an unsatisfactory physical outcome when secondary sex characteristics have become manifest and irreversible, unquote, than on, quote, avoiding potential harm from early pubertal suppression. In other words, according to the Endocrine Society, helping a teenager achieve his or her cosmetic goals is more important than preventing harms from the use of off-label drugs.
Wow.
It's important to note that the clinicians who wrote the Endocrine Society's guidelines are themselves gender clinicians with conflicts of interest, and most were WPATH members. Now, a key element of WPATH strategy has been what I've called credibility laundering. Medical associations with broader scope and larger memberships have specialized subcommittees dealing with LGBTQ issues, which today means primarily gender medicine.
That's right.
And these groups are WPATH aligned or even affiliated. For example, Dr. Erin Jansen of Lurie Children's Hospital is co-chair of the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry's Sexual Orientation and Gender Identity Issues Committee. Incidentally, he's also a WPATH member and co-author of WPATH's 8th Standard of Care.
This is, the LGBT coalition, they're great too. I support them a lot. But you see what's happening here? It's all a scam. It's all a scam. They literally all are on the board of all the there's nobody that has an opposing opinion. Why aren't I on the board of WPATH? I'm an elder of the transsexual community. Why don't you have people like me on the board? You only have people who are yes men. Yes men in the medical space, yes men in the psychological space, yes men in the pharmaceutical space. Yes, 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 yes. Yet we can completely keep showing you it's about cosmetic. It's about the cosmetic outcome of this youth. You understand what I'm trying to say here? It's not about the mental outcome. It's the cosmetic outcome. They don't want these kids to grow up, let's say with Jonni, to grow up looking like an effeminate boy. So they're going to change him into a girl so that somehow they think that's going to make him walk the world better. But his mind has not been changed. Only his physical features. So they're forcing this person who is a biological male to become a female without doing any work on the brain and understanding that it is 100% perfectly okay for an effeminate looking male to walk the world. It is so twisted and so insane. It's experimental. It's experimental, which we've been doing these experiments on transgender sexual people not forever, 30, 40, 50, 60, maybe 60 years or something like that. You know, you have to really understand what it means is going on with these children. It's so sick. It's sick, sick, sick. If you know anyone who has a transgender kid, send this to them, okay? They might deny it. For some reason, they want to believe the doctor because, remember, do you want a live daughter or a dead son or whatever the fuck they're saying there? It's like, so you want a dead daughter or a live son? Like, what are you talking about? That is the most gaslighty, complete, manipulative bullshit.
Hi, hello, and good morning. My name is Layla Jane. I'm a detransitioner. I'm someone who received gender-affirming care as a minor and later came to regret it. And I reverted back to my birth sex. I was prescribed Lupron and testosterone at 12, and I underwent a double mastectomy at the age of 13. I'm here in support of House Bill 1172 because it would ensure that people like me can access the medical and mental health care that we need in order to cope with the lasting effects of these treatments. Currently, there aren't even proper billing codes or protocols for detransitioners, which is a huge barrier in us even getting help. I shouldn't have to fight with my insurance to get physical therapy to cope with the joint pain linked to hormonal treatments I received, or for the psychiatric care I need for the PTSD and depression linked to medical interventions I received as a minor. I have severed ducts in my chest that would need to be surgically removed if I were to ever decide to have children. I didn't even know this could be a complication when the surgery was done at 13. I'm having to fight my current insurance to get supplemental estrogen covered, which would help with the atrophy and urinary issues I face from testosterone usage. Many pediatric transitioners, like myself, we reach this point in detransition right around age 18. At a time we're just starting out in life, often with little income and no health coverage beyond what's provided under our insurance. Most of us can't afford these treatments out of pocket. This bill would make a huge difference. It would give people like me a chance to heal and move on as healthy, functional adults. I urge you to vote yes on House Bill 1172. This should not be about politics. It should be about compassion, fairness, and making sure no one is left without care. Thank you.
You know what blows me away is that they're willing to put these young people through all this medical intervention or treatment or healthcare, but they're not willing to help them when they decide not to use this healthcare. Don't you find that quite interesting? Because you would think that they would want to help the kids, because isn't that what the medical space is about? Helping you get healthy and being a better person and moving forward in your life. But it's not. This proves to me that they don't care about this, because they're not even willing to work with the kids who are saying, I should have never been on this. In my opinion, it's because if they do that, they will be owning up to the fact that it doesn't work. So they cannot help these kids, because if they help these kids, they are stating that, yep, you're right, this medicine doesn't work. So that says to me, this is all a sham. It's a 100% medical scandal. because that is not medicine. You can't only do one side and not the other side. This is pretty mind-blowing, this one right here. This was on, I think, Joe Rogan, and it's Dr. This is Dr. Peta Attia tells a story about woke ideology in the medical school of urology, okay? It is actually mind-blowing what you're going to hear right here. Mind-blowing.
My roommate from med school, who's a urologist, called me yesterday because he couldn't wait to tell me this ridiculous story. So a colleague of his, this female urologist who's badass surgeon, was giving a lecture to the medical school, which is common, right? You'll always have the surgeon will come in or the doctor will come in. And before she got up to give her lecture, the dean said to her, I'm not making this up, this is a urologist giving a lecture to a group of medical students, said, I would appreciate it if you would not use the word penis during this lecture.
He said it before the lecture?
Yeah. She said, it's an anatomic term. I'm a urologist. What would you like me to say? And what he came up with some idiotic, he said, maybe you could call it male erectile tissue. And she was like, well, she's now fucking with him. She's like, but
what if it's flaccid?
Wouldn't the use of male also be kind of triggering in that sense? I mean,
good point.
Yeah. I mean, and she basically told him to piss off.
And what did this guy was the dean?
The dean of the medical school.
And I assume he's a doctor as well?
He should be. Yeah. If he's the dean of a medical school, he would be an MD.
What in the fuck is wrong with people?
What is fuck wrong with people? What's wrong with people is they're captured and they're manipulating the system. How dare you say it shouldn't be called a penis? Like it's a penis. Like what? This is the manipulation going on within the whole medical transgender. They're trying to actually rearrange what it is to be a man and a woman. 110% they're doing that. There's no doubt. We can prove it to you every single day. I'm going to leave you with this last thing. This is from Scotland.
224 years. That's how long somebody in Scotland can expect to wait before they get an appointment at Glasgow's Gender Identity Clinic. The wait across the rest of the UK is 25 years. None of these waiting times is acceptable. We need better trans healthcare right now. Trans people have always been with us, and it is only right that we deliver the healthcare that they need to be themselves.
So if you don't think that's cult-like, then you don't know what a cult is, because literally that's cult-like. The flag in the back, the way they're standing, look at the person's eyes, okay? And they're repeating the same mantra over and over. We need trans healthcare. You deserve trans healthcare. What is trans healthcare? That's trans healthcare. The whole video, what I showed you today, is fucking trans healthcare. It's disgusting. It's wrong. It's an experiment. It doesn't work. Okay. It's not healthcare. Okay. It's a treatment, which is different than a healthcare. It's a treatment that is experimental. That does not work. So thank God there's a 25-year and a 227. The gaslighting numbers too. Thank God that there's that much. We are going to save so many young people from making the fucking mistake. If you care about these children, and you actually do care about the fact that transsexual people exist and they do struggle with a form of mental disorder, and you want to see people live a happier life, you've got to help me get this message out there, because I can't even understand. My brain doesn't function in a way that says this is completely normal and this is completely okay. These are 13-year-old kids. My son is 13. I see him every day. And I often think, what if? What if he said, well, I feel like a girl. What if those things were there? And I was a parent who didn't understand what that meant. And I was a parent who was willing to listen to the doctor. And I was a parent willing to give my child irreversible medications and surgery. I think about that. And I'm not blaming parents. I'm not. But as a parent, as a parent of a brand new baby girl, and as a transsexual, it breaks me. Not much breaks me, I'll tell you that. I'm pretty tough. But when it comes to kids, and if you're not crying, it doesn't have to be physically, but in your heart and in your soul, if you're not crying, seeing these things happen to these kids, then you're not listening. But we have to come together and figure out why we have let the medical world do this to children, and why it's continually happening, and why we are being gaslit into believing this, and why penises can't be called penises, and vaginas can't be called vaginas, and girls can't be girls, and boys can't be boys, and there can't be effeminate boys and girls, and there can't be a full range of all kinds of people. You know, transgender medicine is a scam. It is 100% a scam. I am telling you, as a 33 plus transitioned female, I never changed my sex. I changed my appearance, but I was mentally strong enough to understand that and move forward in my life. And I believe I'm here today to tell you that my purpose is to make sure this doesn't happen to kids. Okay? So I really was going to try not to cry. I was, but what are you going to do? So with that, I hope you feel my heart. I hope you feel the pain this is causing these young kids. And I want you to know that it means a lot to me that you can hear me here. You can hear me and you can listen to me and you can want to help these young people move forward in a more healthier way in their lives. Okay, so with that, I'll see you guys all on the next one, and thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. I really mean it. Baby girl is doing so good, it's crazy. So I'll see you guys all on the next one.